I could literally not be more excited for this video if I tried. A few weeks back, I made a video where I chatted through 5 of my favourite books of the year and 5 books that I think are going to be my favourite books of the year. So like 5 5-star predictions. And those 5 books were these 5 books. I have so far read one of them. I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein, and guess what? 5 stars. I know my reading taste. But we have 4 of those books left, and we are going to read them together in this video. I couldn't be more excited about it. The books that we have are My Year of R&R by Ottessa Moshfegh, Penance by Eliza Clark, 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, and Alone with You in the Ether by Olivie Blake. We are reading all 4 this week, and I am unbelievably excited because I genuinely believe, for whatever reason, whether I've read from the author before or I just think the story sounds right up my alley, I genuinely believe that I am going to love these books. Eliza Clark and Olivie Blake I've read from before. Tia Williams and Ottessa Moshfegh I haven't. So 2 authors that I already love and 2 new authors. And come along for the week, read with me, and hopefully we find some 5-star reads. Hopefully we find 4 5-star reads, but that might be a stretch. The question is, what am I going to start with? I think I am most in the mood for Penance by Eliza Clark. She wrote my favourite book of last year, which was Boy Parts. Love that book so much. And this is completely different, but I will read anything Eliza Clark writes, and I have the highest of hopes for this. So I think we're going to start with this, and let's get into this week's reading. Friends, I am on page 154 of Penance, so a third, shall we say. Eliza Clark. Eliza freaking Clark. We need words. This book is so completely different to her last book she wrote, Boy Parts. How is it still so good? It's literally a different genre, and she's nailed it. For anyone who doesn't know, because I don't think I ever actually explained the plot of this follows, okay, it's a bit complicated, stay with me. It follows a pretend author. So obviously Eliza Clark wrote this book, but it's set out in the style like it's written by a guy called Corelli. And right at the start of the book, we get this page that basically says, Corelli's book has been republished because it was taken off shelves before because there were like accusations that things in the book weren't true, and he's basically retelling a true crime story. Obviously it's not actually real, it's like a pretend true crime story, but you're reading it, it reads like it's a true crime case, and he's kind of like unpacking what happened. It sounds a little bit complicated, it's not. It's not, I'm just maybe not explaining it very well. But basically we follow the murder of this girl called Joan Wilson and the 3 girls who killed her, 3 teenage girls. She has literally become an author by author for me, like overnight. I read Boy Parts and I was like, I will read anything she puts out. And this is so different because Boy Parts was like literary fiction, unlikable main character. I mean, in some senses that is this. All the characters in this are very unlikable. I mean, like obviously. But the way she wrote this book, everything has so much detail. Even the place is called Crow-on-Sea. I legitimately had to look it up because it got to the point where I was like, this has to be a real place, because she had pages and pages of the history of this town and the history of the buildings and all of the like politics. And I knew it wasn't real, but I had to Google it to make sure it wasn't real. It's not real. It's not a real place. I had to look it up because I was like, maybe it is. Also, Crow-on-Sea kind of sounds like it would be an English, like, seaside town. Even characters who only come in for a few pages, they will still have, like, a page of backstory. And even though you're, like, not with that character for very long, you get so much, like, depth and you feel like you know this person so deeply. And it literally is like watching a true crime documentary. Only downside is the book does have footnotes. We all know how I feel about footnotes. I have a personal beef with footnotes. I literally despise them in books. But it's Eliza Clark, so I'm going to forgive her. She's the only one allowed to do them. Anyway, I'm going to keep reading this today, but I'm having the best time.
Followed her heart to the places she's been. You can find in her photos all the time she spent. Traveling with friends and singing in the bed. Calm she feels on her family's land.
I was reading last night and I got to page 299, so 3/4, 2/3. I've got about 130 pages of this book left and my plan is to finish it today, but I don't think that's going to be a problem because Eliza Clark just has the most readable books. At the moment, we're kind of looking at the 3 different girls who killed Joan. So they're called girls A, B and C. I mean, you do get their names, but just like for ease of explaining. We're basically doing like a massive deep dive into each of the girls and you get so much like detail of their lives and their relationships and their families. And you know when you get like really fixated on something on like the internet late at night and you just end up down a rabbit hole of like looking up information and you get really like fixated on something? It feels like that, but except that it's all fictional. But it doesn't feel fictional. But it is fictional. It's really, really fascinating. It feels a little bit like when I studied psychology at school. It feels like being in a psychology class and like we were always looking at like different case studies and it feels like looking at one of those. I mean, parts of it are awful and like horrible to read and then parts of it are just completely fascinating. It's just such a unique concept. Like I've never read a book quite like this, which I think is what Julia Armfield said on the front. You've never read anything like this. And in Julia Armfield we trust. Also super bingeable because it's dialogue heavy. And I think I've spoken about this before on my channel, but I'm a dialogue over description girly. Give me heavy dialogue any day of the week and I will binge your book. Anyway, that is the plan. Finish this today. And yeah, I'm getting all the 5-star feelings, so I'm having a very, very good time. It is the same day. I have just got changed. Let me just remove my mug/glass collection. Just about to head out, but I thought I would give you a little update because I have finished Penance. Say it with me. Eliza Clark never misses. She was already, but this book has just solidified it. She's an author for me. And I've only read 2 books. She only has 2 books. And the first one I read and I was like, I will read anything this author writes. And then she writes something completely different. Different genre, completely different feel. And I love it. Don't get me wrong, both books have that kind of like unlikable character thing going on, which I love. She is absolutely an author by author. Another 5-star read from her. This video has got off to quite literally the best I possibly could have got off to. This is so good. I really hope people pick up this book because I've not seen anyone talk about it yet and I just think it's fabulous. But the first book of the video is done. The question is what should we pick up next? My gut instinct is to pick up 7 Days in June. My only fear, I think I've mentioned in other videos, I can't remember if I said it in this one, I am in such a big romance slump, like so badly. But I've heard this described as very like literary fiction meets romance. I don't know the like percentage of those genres, like which one's heavier, but I think if any book is going to get me out of my romance slump, it's going to be this one. So I think that's going to be the plan. I'm heading out now, so I think I will probably end up starting this tomorrow morning. Update, I've decided to take the book with me, even though I'm literally not going to have any time to read and I'm going to be with people the whole time, so there's literally no point, but just in case. Does anyone else do this? I always bring a book with me just in case. I'm literally not going to have any time to read, but I'm just excited. I am on page 160, so I would say pretty much exactly halfway through. So far, we are basically following Eva, who is an erotica author, which I just think is such a fun element of the story. And you're kind of getting all of the like bits about her writing and like her struggling to like continue this series. And she's kind of got this like passion project that she wants to write, but she kind of has to write this like series like that she's massively in the middle of. And then you have her daughter and she's like raising her daughter. It's like their relationship. And then separately you have Shane, who is also an author. He's like a literary author, but he's very well like regarded. Like his books are very like prominent, and he's like mentoring kids. So like in every like city he travels to, he'll like find a kid who he can like help and like mentor and stuff. And you're kind of, I would say so far anyway, the literary fiction to romance divide is 70-30. to literary fiction, which, considering I'm in the biggest romance slump that I've ever been in, that is perfect. And I kind of hope it stays like that because I'm really enjoying the dynamics. Tia Williams is so good at building like full characters, because I feel like because we have all of this build up, because you get their backstory of when they met like 15 years ago and you get them now, and because there's so much going on to them, it's not just like, oh, two people who are hot and then they fall in love. Like, it's that too. It's like there's so much depth. It's making me root for them because I know so much about them, whereas I feel like in romance books often you will get like a few personality traits and that's kind of it. So I'm really, really enjoying it. I will say I am a little worried that I shouldn't have picked this book up now because of my romance slump. So that is the only thing that's like making me nervous, is that I'm really just not in a romance mood. But I think of all the romances I possibly could have picked up, this is the best one because the writing is gorgeous and I love all the characters. The romance is definitely like kind of starting to come in. So that, as I say, that's the only fear. But so far, I'm vibing with the writing, so I'm hoping I'm gonna enjoy the second half of this book. But I'm calling it for tonight because I am a sleepy girl, even though it's literally, it's only 7 p.m. Maybe I will do more reading tonight. I thought it was way later than that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I will check in with you at some point. Guys, disaster has struck. That is unbelievably dramatic. Disaster hasn't struck. Minor inconvenience has struck. Honestly, not even a minor inconvenience, just poor timekeeping on my front. I'm trying to say that it is quite a few days later and I am still reading 7 Days in June, although I am so nearly done. I'm on page 275, so I've got 50 pages left. Like, I am so nearly done. So I'm going to finish this today. But my point, I guess, is that I have so much reading that I need to do today, because I don't know if I've mentioned it in this video, I've spoken about it in previous videos. I am moving country in 3 days time. I'm going to explain it all properly. I think it'll be the next video after this one, but I have a lot to do between now and then, including finish this video and the books that I have not finished. But I also need to pack because I have not done that yet, and I need to do a few other bits. It's a whole thing. So there's a lot that needs to happen today, but mostly today I need to finish this book and then I need to get started on the next book. But I am very nearly done with this. I will say part of me wishes I had saved this for when I'm not in a romance slump, because I'm still very much in that slump. And while the like first probably half of this book was way more literary fiction with like a little bit of like romance themes, the romance is definitely coming in now. I am enjoying it because of all of the like emotional depth. Like, Tia Williams made these characters so real and I am backing them, but I'm also in such a bad romance slump that I'm just not enjoying that aspect as much. But that's not the book's fault, that's my fault. But yeah, as I say, 50 pages left, so I'm gonna try and finish this now and then immediately start whatever's next. Haven't decided yet.
So I drew on the walls with a crayon, like a kid who can understand how bad he wants it. The drip in the faucet, I'm not getting back my security deposit.
Done. I still stand by everything I said before. I do wish I had not read it in a romance slump. And I just want this romance slump to go away. I will say this is like so different from any other romance book I've read, and it had so much like emotional depth, which made me love it. And her writing, she's such an amazing writer. I will 1000% be reading more from this author. It was just a romance slump that was like always in the background, but I really, really enjoyed this. Right. We need to go straight into our next read because time is of the essence. So let's go pick our next read. Right, we have got 2 left. We've got Alone with You in the Ether and My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This one is the shortest and is also on my monthly TBR, so I'm kind of thinking do this one so that I definitely make sure I get to it. I'm also so excited for this. I just think I'm gonna love it. But we'll see. I'm gonna start this now. This could very well be my favourite book of the year. I'm only a third in. I'm only a third in. I'm on page 92. I had to chill out a little bit. I'm loving this book. It is so unbelievably bleak and very, very little has happened. And yeah, this is everything I love in a book. It reminds me so much, even though the stories are very different, it reminds me so much of Boy Parts by Eliza Clark, which was my favourite book of last year. How do I even sum up this book? It is not going to be for everybody, for sure. It is so like bleak and miserable, and the characters aren't particularly likeable. Very little is happening, at least like at the moment, but the character study is so fascinating to me. I can't even explain what it is about this book that I'm loving so much, but I was reading it last night and I literally only stopped because I was so exhausted, but I flew through the first third of this book. The depression representation in this book is unbelievably good. I'm really, really loving it. There is such a good chance. I mean, maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't even be a 5 stars by the end, but as it sits right now, this is the most promising book I've read all year. Like, I think this could be my favourite book of the year. I hope it is. I'm 1000% gonna finish this today. Guys, I am so dumb. Wait, I need to talk to you properly. I need to put you down and talk to you properly. Right, I am on page 215. Bear that in mind, 215, I am that far through the book. I have just realised that the main character doesn't have a name. I am 200 pages into this book. I wasn't even reading when I realised that, by the way. I was like lying down on the sofa on my phone. I like sat up and I was like, wait, that can't be right. And I like ran to get the book so I could go through it. And I was flicking through it and I was like, I can't find a name. And then I read the back of the book and it says, our narrator has many advantages in life. But that's how good this book is. That's how like engaging the character is that I didn't even notice she doesn't have a name. This book, man, just keeps getting better and better. I will now read, I haven't even finished this book, confidently can say it's my favourite book of the year. I can confidently say that Ottessa Moshfegh is now an autobi author. I want to read Eileen. I don't even know what it's about, but I know nothing, but I want to read it. I can't believe I didn't notice that. I've got maybe 70 pages left. That makes me sad, actually. I don't know if you can tell, I'm thoroughly enjoying this book. Even though it's really, really sad and nothing is happening. It's the most engaging book I've ever read where almost nothing happens. It's so good. I don't know what to say. It's my favourite book of the year, and I know it's not going to be for everyone. I do know that, but these characters are awful and the story is bleak. I feel like being in the main woman's head is quite exhausting, but I just think that's such a credit to the writing because that is exactly how she feels. And yeah, I ate this up in 2 sittings. I just think this is an absolute masterpiece. I have no more words for you. I think it's such a specific type of book. I think if you enjoy Emma Cline's books, maybe Sally Rooney, Eliza Clark, those kind of character study, unlikable characters, messy relationships characters, that kind of thing. And we all know I love that. I think if you like those kind of books, like Coco, Mellors, like those kind of writers, I think if you enjoy that, you will enjoy this. Maybe enjoy is not even the right word because it's miserable and like bleak. I keep saying bleak, but like bleak is the best word I can think. I am so excited now to see what else Ottessa Moshfegh has written. I think I'm gonna order Eileen. I still don't know what it's about, but I do remember when I did my reading books that give Saltburn vibes, that book came up as a suggestion. So I definitely have to check that one out and I'll have to check out what else she's written. I literally loved this. Pals, I am very sad to say that we're gonna have to end the video here. I so badly wanted to get to Alone With You in the Ether. Just gonna let my neighbour's motorcycle go past. I so badly wanted to get alone with you in the ether read in this video as well. Alas, I am moving to a different country tomorrow. I quite literally don't have time. I've been trying so hard to fit everything into this last week, and yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to this one, which I'm really bummed about because we've read all of the other 4. I will get to this ASAP. I might even take it with me when I move, but we will see. That'll be in the next video. But for the other 4 5-star predictions, we did so well. By the way, I want credit. I know my reading taste. Obviously, Cleopatra and Frankenstein we didn't read in this video, but I did absolutely adore, and I had such a fun time. Penance, absolutely solidifying that Eliza Clark is now an auto-buy author for me. I will now read anything this woman writes. 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Similarly, I am so excited to now read again from Tia Williams. I do wish I hadn't read this during a romance slump, so I think anything else I pick up by her, assuming the rest of her books are romances, I will pick them up when I finally get out of this romance slump, whenever that happens. And last, but most certainly not least, my Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. I've just banged on about this book, so I'm not going to do it, but fair's to say, I will also be reading, actually every single author I found in this video I want to read from again. So that's amazing. I'm so excited to read more of her books. Guys, I've had such a good week. This was one of the best reading weeks I've had in so long. Just getting to spend a week, I guess effectively mood reading, just reading the books that I genuinely think I'm going to love. I had so much fun! Especially as I've recently been in a book slump, so it's nice to like remind myself that I do actually enjoy reading. Thank you so much if you've stuck around to this point. I appreciate you all. If you wanna like the video, subscribe, comment, all that fun jazz, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Love you, bye!